All right, Jim Bottrell is here. We're here to talk real estate. Housing prices and sales have been trending down recently. You've heard about all of this. Prices down, the number of sales are down. Jim Bottrell, founder of the Bottrell Real Estate Group, joins us now to talk about the current housing market. Good to see you as always, Jim. Glad you made it back from Snowland.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Okay, so you look at the articles online in the paper, whatever, and you hear this doom and gloom. What do we got? What are you seeing?
Well, they're saying two things. So they're saying that the number of transactions is down, and they're saying prices are down, continuing to trend down. I will say the number of transactions being down, that's 100% correct. So far in the first 2 months of this year, we're off about 50% of where we were in the first 2 months of 2022, which was off from 2021. The other part I completely disagree with. They're saying that housing prices are continuing to trend down, but that's not what we're seeing. That's not what's happening right now. We're seeing multiple offers on listings for about the last 45 days. Multiple offers on listings going $20,000, even $120,000 over ask.
Okay, so things. We read a lot of statistics, a lot of reports of things like that. Are these reports accurate?
Well, the statistic data is correct, but it's not timely. So a lot of times what they're doing is they're quoting the Case-Shiller Index, which is a 60 and 90-day moving average of closed transactions. But we have to remember is that prior to that 60, 90 days, there was a 30-day escrow, and that's when the buyer and the seller figuratively shook hands and said, this is how much I'll pay for the house. That moment in time, right then, that is the market. What they're reporting on is 30 days after that, it closes escrow, and then it's day one of a statistic that's a 90-day running average. So when we see these articles saying markets continuing to trend downward and they're quoting the Case-Shiller Index, they're quoting statistics that are based on those houses that went into escrow back in October, November, and December. So yes, the statistics are correct in that they are saying that houses were trending down in October, November, December, and it's just showing up today. The part that frustrates me is the way they're reporting it, because they're reporting as if it's real-time information, as if it's the market right now. And the market is dictated by when that buyer and seller shakes hands. Now, what's actually happening today for the last 45 days when that buyer and seller are actually shaking hands is we're seeing multiple offers, and we're seeing houses going over the asking price by a bunch, actually.
Still, because a year ago we were talking about how things had flipped, but you're saying that things are trending upward.
Again. Yeah, they're doing it again, and the reasons why is that there's very few houses on the market. You know, I've been telling you guys for a long time that we're going to have, if you thought last year was bad, and as far as housing shortage, get ready for 2023. And it's going to be really bad, because think of all those sellers that are sitting on that 2% or 3% interest rate. They're dug in like Alabama ticks. They're not selling their houses. Right. And that's good for housing prices, because very slow, very minimal inventory. But the buyers, the part that was unexpected is the number of buyers that showed up in the market right around January 15th. Interest rates had been stable for a little while. They all came back, and just like we got used to paying $5 for gas, buyers are okay paying 6.5% for a mortgage loan now. That is, they showed up in droves, in mass, to a market that had almost no houses for sale. So that's what's causing the prices to go up.
And what you typically tell us is even though interest rates are high, if you can get into a home, anything is better than renting.
Always.
Always.
100%.
Always.
Yeah, never rent.
And that was, tell us about when you bought your first home and what it led to.
Yeah, well, when I bought my first home, interesting story. When I bought my first home, I was a young lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and I borrowed money from my dad, and I was paying $825 a month in rent, and our mortgage payment was $2,600 a month. All right, so triple. Yeah, triple.
Right.
So people thinking that doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense if you look at the numbers, but my wife and I, we realized that every single month we were investing in our landlord's retirement, not our own. So we decided to invest on our own, and being, young kids that we were, I mean, I had to borrow money from my dad for closing costs, and I bought that house, and then I sold it 2 years later. And I got a check from escrow for $80,000. Now, if you take the 2 years that I owned that house at $2,600 per month in mortgage, that's about $62,000. So because I bought that house, paid triple what my rent was, I got a check. I got all that money back, every single mortgage payment, plus another $18,000, all tax-free. That's the moment I fell in love with real estate.
Okay, and because if you'd have sat on that $825 a month rent and focused on how much more the mortgage was going to be, you'd have just kept renting.
Absolutely, still be renting today.
It's counterintuitive.
Yeah, and then I sold that house. I got that $80,000. You know what I did with it? I bought 3 houses.
Yeah.
I bought 3 houses, one to move into, and 2 more that were rental properties where the renter pays for everything, and I get all the benefits. And that's what I try and teach people, the generational wealth.
So where do you see the market going now?
Well, what's going to happen right now is I know the prices have been going up. I do think that's a little bit of a flash in the pan because interest rates stabilized, but I think interest rates are going to be going up. Every piece of data that I see suggests that interest rates are going to go up. Even the chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, said last week that he's not done raising interest rates. I still think that interest rates are going to get to 9% at some point in time. Now, people get mad at me. I get hate mail. They throw things at me. It may not happen in 2023, but I still think we're going to get there. And interest rates will dictate what happens with this market. If interest rates stay stable or go up slowly, all right, we're going to be fine. Housing prices are going to be fine. Still few transactions, but housing prices can be fine. If they go up a lot or they do a sharp increase, well, then you get what happened last May through December. Because interest rates went up 4%. They went up faster than what people could get used to. And that's what caused all the buyers to come out of the market. That's why the market went down that 17, 18%, which, by the way, we finished 2022 exactly the same way we started 2022. We went up 17%, we came down 17%.
Wow, interesting. All right, Jim Bottrell, the Jim Bottrell Real Estate Group.
All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.